Hey all, welcome to the Civics for Outreach training brought to you by Google and the YouTube team. My name is Javier Hernandez. I'm on Google's Civics Outreach team. In this role, I support our left-leaning elected officials, candidates, and advocacy groups to better understand our tools and provide them with the resources necessary to really have an effective presence online. So today I'm going to be sharing some best practices that you could use to really build a first-in-class YouTube presence that's going to allow you to connect with your audiences. I'm going to walk you through a couple of different things. We are going to talk about just an overview of YouTube, so just gaining a better understanding of like the platform, its users, and why you should be using YouTube. Then we're going to talk about how you actually build your channel. This is going to be whether you're trying to build a channel out for the first time or you're just trying to revamp an existing channel and start growing your audience there. We're also going to be talking about some creative best practices. So just how you're going to create the type of content that's going to increase your subscriptions. It's going to drive your viewership and really start to foster a community on the platform. And then lastly, I'm going to cover just some discoverability best practices. So as some of you may know, YouTube is the world's second most popular search engine behind Google search. So it's going to be really important that when you are creating those videos, you're formatting them in a way that's going to make them more discoverable when folks are searching them for them. So I'm going to teach you how you can do that as well. As I go through this presentation, if anything that I mention, if you're curious about anything that I mentioned or have some questions, please make sure to drop your questions in the Q&A, and I'll get to them at the very end of this presentation. And as I mentioned earlier, I've been told that there may be some technical issues with closed captioning. So if you are having any issues, please make sure to drop that in the chat as well. And then someone will try to provide you some technical assistance shortly. So with that, let's get going. So the first thing we're going to talk about is just an overview of YouTube and why it should be an integral part of your communication strategy. So the first question you probably ask yourself when you come to this presentation is why YouTube? Why should I be using YouTube? The very simple answer is because that's where you're going to find your biggest audience. Cisco estimates that video is going to be 82% of all global consumer internet traffic by 2021. So the demand for video it only continues to grow, and YouTube is the world's most popular destination for it. So being on it is going to be really important part of your mission. So YouTube registers over 2 billion monthly logged in users each month. That means that if you want to bring your message to large audiences, YouTube is going to be the best place to do so. Now, in the US specifically, more Americans come to YouTube to watch videos than in any other platform. Over 228 million Americans log into YouTube each month. That's 80 million more than Netflix and 138 million more than Facebook video. When people want to watch engaging video, engaging, entertaining, or educational videos, they think of YouTube, and you should be hosting your content there as well. So at first glance, when you look at those numbers, you might make the assumption that YouTube appeals to a specific age demographic. But what we've seen that YouTube watch times are growing across all generations year to year. Most noticeably is doubling among boomers. So YouTube has this very vibrant community of content creators that cover a whole host of different distinct issues when it comes to content. So it's actually a home for folks across all generations that are looking to engage with the content that's interesting to them. So you should also be thinking about whether you are trying to connect with folks in the 18 to 34 age range or above that. YouTube is going to be a great place for you to do so. Now, one area of interest in which we have seen incredible growth is in the politics and news vertical. It's a great time to be a political commentator on YouTube or an organization that's building great content. Since 2016, we've seen a tripling of viewership in the political and news vertical. So if you haven't been focusing your efforts on establishing a strong YouTube presence, it's not too late to do so. you can get started today and start capturing some of that viewership for your own organization. Now we're gonna move on to how you're actually gonna properly build your YouTube channel. And this information is gonna be relevant whether you're building one out for the very first time, or you just want to revamp your channel and get it up to par with some of the more well-established YouTube channels. So let's jump right into it. So to get started, you'll want to just go to your channel, which you can access by logging into your organization's shared Google account. Then you can click on the profile icon that's going to appear on the top right of YouTube. And then you're going to click My Channel in the drop down to go to your channel, see your channel details. The next thing you're going to want to do is just make sure that you're updating your channel's name, profile photo, and description to make it easier to find Google, to make that channel easier to find across Google and YouTube. Here we're going to be using an example today of George Washington's YouTube channel. So again, making sure that you are updating all of that so that when folks are trying to find you, you're appearing in search, and that folks know where your videos are coming from. And you can also add things like links to your website, social media channels, stuff like that, just to make sure that you're building that out completely. Next, you'll want to add your channel art to add some flair. Think of this as a welcome banner to your page. So you'll need to have this in order to make it stand out. Make sure that you're including an engaging photo and your logo, as well as a call to action. But it's important to keep in mind that while the banner may appear like this in desktop, it's actually going to be trimmed slightly on mobile. So because 70% of all YouTube views are actually on mobile, you'll want to make sure that whatever photo you're using is a great fit for both desktop and mobile. One of the things that we've seen many creators do, and you'll see this if you go to YouTube channels like the Joe Biden channel, you'll see that on desktop, they include certain information on the very end, the right side of that banner that gets cut off in mobile. So folks that are looking at it on mobile will still see a very engaging photo with information on how to take a call to action, how to take action from there. But it may also include some additional information that'll appear on the right for folks that are visiting on desktop. Additionally, you'll also be able to add some links, right? So that when folks are viewing your channel on desktop, you can see a link on the bottom right of that banner, and you can add things like your website link, as well as social media links. So if you want to link out to Twitter, Facebook, or any other platform, you're able to do so there. Next, you'll want to upload a channel trailer. Your channel trailer is going to be like a movie trailer that will play for every unsubscribed visitor that visits your channel. This is a great way to offer a preview for your channel, for the things that your channel is providing to viewers who may want to subscribe. Because this is one of the best chances you're going to have at potential subscribers. You'll want to front load your call to action and make sure that you're putting the important message that you want to get across at the very beginning of that video while you have those folks' attention. There are some great examples of these channel trailers across YouTube. I would encourage you to think of some of your favorite high-profile public figures and visit their YouTube channel and see if they have a channel trailer. I know that for some of the more prominent political figures on the left, there are some great examples there. So I encourage you to get some inspiration from some of the existing creators as well. Next, you're gonna wanna verify your channel and create a custom channel link. In order to verify your channel, once you're verified, you'll see that check mark that'll appear next to your channel name. This is gonna tell folks that you've taken steps to verify that you're a real person. In order to do so, we're gonna ask you to enter a phone number. You're gonna receive a verification code via text or voice call to that phone number, and then you're gonna and then once you've completed that process and you've verified your channel, you're going to have access to a couple additional features that you will not have access to otherwise. Those include uploading videos that are longer than 15 minutes. Without verifying your channel, you won't be able to do that. You can then add custom thumbnails. And I'll talk about this later in this presentation, but that's going to be extremely important for getting folks to actually click on your content, right? So having like really custom engaging thumbnails that are going to draw people in, and you won't be able to do that until you verify your channel. Then you're also going to be able to live stream from your channel. If you want to have really engaging Q&A or town hall style conversations with your audiences live, you're going to need to verify your channel as well. And then lastly, and this is going to be really important, particularly if you've had any issues with this in the past, it'll allow you to appeal content ID claims, right? So any issues for content takedowns that you've experienced, having a verified channel will allow you to submit appeals for those actions as well, so you can get your content restored if it was taken down or actioned on incorrectly. Next, you'll want to create a custom URL for your channel. The custom URL is going to be really important because, especially if you're already established on other social media channels with a consistent handle that you want to stick to, this is how you're going to do that. So that way, it's going to make it really easy to direct folks to find your channel in the same way that you would with your traditional other social media platforms. So you're going to need to have a couple of things in order to qualify for this. It's a pretty low bar to set, and I think it's very achievable for most folks if you have like a consistent strategy and you really like stick to building out your channel. The first is you're going to need to have 100 subscribers on your channel or more. That may sound like a lot when you're just getting started, but if you're following some of these best practices we're going to get into and posting consistently on YouTube, you're going to be able to see that growth hopefully relatively quickly. You're also going to need to have a channel that's 30 days old or more. So can't create a channel today and then just get a custom URL right away. But again, 30 days, not a very long time. It'll give you some time to really start building your subscribers in order to hit that 100 subscriber mark. You're also going to want to upload a profile photo, right? So to your channel, so that that channel icon that I talked about, you're going to want to make sure that you're uploading one of those. And then lastly, upload the channel art. That's the banner that's on there. So I've already instructed you to do 2 of those throughout this this walkthrough. So really the main thing you're going to need to focus on is that 100 subscriber count and the age of your account. And then if all those things are already there and you're ready to set up your custom URL, you'll notice that you'll have the option in the advanced account settings. You'll also likely get an email notification that'll let you know that you're eligible, and you'll even see a notification in your Creator Studio dashboard to request a custom URL. And again, if you need instructions on that process, YouTube has a very comprehensive help center site where you can get these instructions step by step. Now that you've got your channel all set up, you're ready to start promoting it on your website, your newsletter, your email newsletters, your email signature. You're going to want to include links to your channel wherever possible, whether that's, every time. You can see here is an example of how some folks typically might set up their email signature just with links to all their different social media platforms and channels, and making sure that you're including YouTube among those is going to be really important to building out that following. Next, we're going to get into some creative best practices. And before we get into that, I just want to remind folks that if you have any questions about anything that I'm talking about throughout this presentation, just please make sure to drop those in the Q&A, and I'll get to them at the very end of this presentation. I'll also be sharing I'll be directing you to our team's site where you can find some additional resources on all these things that I'm talking about, as well as an email to our team where you can reach out for additional support if you fall within our team's scope. Again, I'm with the Civics outreach team here at Google, and we cover folks in the civic space on the both the campaign, elected official, and advocacy side. So if there's anything we can do to help, we'll make sure to do our best to do so. So getting right into it. If you're like most people, you're probably used to seeing traditional video content that follows like a pretty standard narrative arc, right? There's like a lead-in, you have a build-up, then the climax, and then there's some call to action, and then finally you see like the branding, right? So it'll be like the logo of whatever ad you're seeing, right? So it's usually how we've been conditioned to see that sort of video advertising and video content. In digital video, it shouldn't follow that same format because the attention span of the average viewer tends to be shorter. You're going to want to front load your main talking points and your branding at the very front of the video in order to get your message across to as many people as possible and to really draw them in. You also want to include things in the video that are going to hold the viewer's attention until you can get your call to action through. So that means that as you draw people in with like very engaging opening to the video, and then you're thinking through about how you can add other moments in that video that are going to consistently keep folks' attention. So it's less of kind of like a curve like that, and it's kind of like a bumpy road that you're going on, making sure that at each point you're doing things to keep folks engaged. Now let's talk. Now that we've talked about that narrative structure, let's go into some content strategy. One of the very best things that you can do to help your channel's performance is to post regularly. A good rule of thumb is to shoot for weekly episodic content and live streams that are going to make viewers come back and subscribe. So again, that could be something like you see here with Bernie, where he was posting pretty regular content, like a video series that he was doing pretty regularly. But if that's something that, at this point you don't have the bandwidth or the staff to do, it's fine. You can also work in just live stream videos, right? So having a direct conversation with your audience in order to to keep folks engaged, just making sure that you're posting very regularly. And if possible, you should also try to upload some more highly produced videos, or collaborating with YouTube creators and public figures who already have an established presence on the platform, and posting those videos like on a monthly basis, right? So these are things that you might take a little bit more time to put together, but they are going to be they're going to be the types of videos that are really going to draw in new visitors to your channels, making them more likely to view the rest of your content. So, thinking through about what those big moment videos are that you're using to draw new viewers in, and then creating episodic, consistent content that's going to keep your existing subscribers engaged, as well as give folks a reason, new potential subscribers, a reason to follow your channel. So let's talk about what those types of videos might actually look like. So the first is going to be explaining the type of work that you're doing, right? So that could be anything from going behind the scenes on the day-to-day kind of things that your organization is doing. That may be sitting down and talking about a particular project that you all are spearheading, just giving like direct communications to folks in your audiences. And I'll talk about, I mentioned end screens here, and I'll talk about that a little bit in a second. But just making sure that the videos that you are posting are giving folks a better understanding about what you and your organization are doing are going to be like a 101 starting point. Sorry. Okay, yeah, there we go. Next, you're gonna you could create policy and issue explainers to get into topics that your audience really cares about. So, in addition to your organization's mission, there may be issues that are happening in like the legislature, or there may be political issues that are important to your demographic and target audience. This is the type of video that you could easily make episodic. Making it so it'll give you a pretty steady stream of content for your channel. That could be that could also include things like reacting to like national news, national or local news that's relevant to your folks. It could be responding to legislation, or just like talking about, legislation or policies that you all are pushing and advocating for as well. You could also give viewers a behind the scenes look into like more authentic settings and content. That could be to learn more about you and your team personally, or to learn a little bit more about your organization's mission through like a more engaging, personal kind of way. These types of videos are really going to help you establish a connection with your audience and help build that loyal following. So while you can get folks in the door to subscribe to your channel, you really want to start building that connection so that you can not only have people who are subscribed to your channel, but folks who are going to come back consistently in order to view your content. And you could do anything from giving a look inside your personal or workspace, highlighting volunteers for your organization. You can also bring people that you are helping or serving into the conversation and have them host them in your YouTube channel. You can do a whole lot of that. Here you have an example of Senator Kamala Harris with Mindy Kaling, and they were doing basically just like cooking and talking about whole host of different issues. But they got into policy at certain points in the conversation, but it was also an opportunity for them to just kind of showcase their personalities and just have a really fun conversation, which I think people really came to enjoy. Next, you'll want to host Q&A sessions, town halls, conversations with other content creators and public figures. It's worth noting that content creators and influencers are viewed 7 times more, are thought to be 7 times more relatable than by users and traditional public figures. That means that oftentimes, if you are a public figure, like a elected official or candidate, oftentimes bringing in someone who is like a non-political or content creator, someone who may have a particular interest in the issue that you're advocating for, even though that issue is not really their main area of focus when they're creating content. That's a great way for you to reach new audiences, and that's a great way for you to have a more dynamic conversation that's going to be really interesting and authentic, and it's going to encourage people to continue to follow your channel. And then if some of those content creators happen to have podcasts, even better, like video podcasts, that's even better. We've seen some huge growth in the long form conversations over video. This is going to be the in-depth interviews that you may see in like certain podcast settings. That's either going to be podcasts that are exclusively on video through YouTube, or folks who are just recording their podcast stream and posting those videos either live on YouTube or posting them as a standard video. This is really again another way that you can help build your brand by engaging your followers. It's going to be obviously in those long form conversations, you're going to be able to get into a lot more topics. You're going to be able to showcase more of your personality or like what makes your organization special. So trying to identify and look for those opportunities is going to be really great. If you're for a lot of times, some of these content creators may seem a little bit inaccessible. I don't know how many of you were in the previous session with our YouTube team, but a lot of these creators are looking for opportunities to engage with people to create new content, right? Particularly if you're working on a really important issue and you have a really important message that you're trying to drive. Some of these content creators are looking for people to collaborate with and are looking for opportunities to help others also establish themselves on the platform. So think through if there are any content creators in your community that you want to connect with. This is going to be a really great way for you to build your brand. Next, now we're going to get into some more technical aspects of it on how you can build a following. Make sure that you're adding a branding watermark that's going to appear at the bottom right of your videos and presents a subscribe button. Whenever you hover over it, this is going to help you really capture subscribers. Like you can add in that custom watermark, and essentially it's going to appear on the bottom right of all the videos. And then as people kind of like, if it draws people's attention, they'll kind of hover over it, and that button that you see on your screen now will kind of pop up, encouraging them to subscribe. This is a really easy way to just, like, if you're talking about something really important that people are engaging with, capturing that subscription while you have their attention is going to be really key. To set it up, you just have to sign into YouTube Studio. From the menu that's going to appear on the left, you're going to select where it says settings, then channel, and then branding, and then you'll have the instructions on how to upload it there. And if you want to close all of your videos with a call to action, you can also add end screens, which I mentioned earlier in this presentation, which are going to be added to the last 5 to 20 seconds of a video. You can use these interactive tiles that you see here on your screen to promote other videos, encourage people to subscribe, drive traffic to your website, and more. So this is an example of what that might appear like. You see here a tile that's encouraging folks to subscribe, and then on the right you see 2 additional tiles that have links to other videos that are already on the channel. These are things that you can also establish on your YouTube channel to make sure that you're keeping folks on your channel. Next, you also want to consider using YouTube Premiere if maybe you want to build anticipation for a video that you've already created. Premiere allows you to schedule a video upload to be released to the public in the future within like the existing video uploader without any extra work. It automatically creates a landing page for your videos so you can build that hype and encourage people to tune in during the video release and immediately leading up to it. This is really helpful if you're trying to launch a new campaign or program, you want to premiere a new episode of your YouTube like episodic content, or if you just want to engage the most excited fans before or during a video launch during chat. So in order to do that, these are just the basic steps for it. You're just going to go into a video uploader like you would normally. When you're going to fill in the video description and like just the metadata like you would normally, so description, tags, and all that. Then you're going to see a toggle button here that's for Premiere. If you enable that, it's going to create a it's going to create basically a video that's going to be accessible prior to the beginning of like a page that's going to be accessible prior to the launching of this video. So it'll feature the time, the date and time when that video is going to launch, and it'll allow folks to set a reminder so they can get a notification. It'll let you know the number of people that are tuning in at that very moment, kind of similar to how it would during a live broadcast. And then you're going to have live chat and super chat that's going to be available during prior to the immediate launch, and then during the launch of that video content as well. Great. And again, just a reminder, if you have any questions about any of the stuff that I'm talking about, just make sure to drop your questions here in the Q&A chat, and we'll make sure to get to it as soon as possible. And then now the last part that I want to cover during this presentation before we get into Q&A is going to be how you can boost the discoverability of your content. So let's go right into it. While I've spent a lot of time covering some of like the creative best practices, searchability is going to be equally important for increasing your video views. Basically, so how would you get your videos to surface beyond like your subscription base, right? YouTube's algorithm is designed to match videos with rich text data to like drive active users to the type of content that they're actually looking for, like the topics that they're looking for. There's a lot of different things that you can, luckily there's a lot of different things that you can do to have your videos surface for relevant searches. And I'm gonna walk you through a couple of those now. So the first thing that you can do is upload high resolution custom thumbnails that have like great visual depth and feature the subject of your videos prominently. You also want to include like large text in your video thumbnails that summarizes what you're going to be talking about, or like the guests that you're featuring on your video, just to grab the potential viewers when they're scrolling through YouTube or Google search, right? So this thumbnail is really going to help, even if you're doing all the other things that are going to help you surface when people are searching for like a specific topic. If you don't have a really engaging thumbnail that's going to draw people in, you may not capture that attention anyways. So this is going to be like one of the very most important things you're going to do. Our YouTube partnership team works with many creators across our platform, helping them kind of like build out some really engaging thumbnails, like some of the bigger channels that our team works with, and you see a significant impact in their channels like views, based on like how what type of thumbnails they're using and whether or not they're following these best practices. So whether you're like a big channel that's trying to increase your viewership, or just a new channel trying to get started, this is going to be a very, very important part of that. You'll also want to include as much detail as possible in your video titles, so that it's easier for our algorithm to surface your video for results through like a broader array of queries. But because the preview of your video may not display the full title, right? Sometimes it'll get cut off if like you have a video title that's 20 20 words long or something like that. It may cut it off at some point. So you want to make sure that and then you'll have to actually go into the video and like expand to see the full title. So you just want to make sure that you're placing the most important and relevant information at the front of the title, right? So like if you're having a conversation with someone, like another creator or something like that, making sure that you're doing exactly how the Daily Show did here, where they place the name of their guest at the very front, followed by the topics that they're going to be talking about, and then the title of the program. You can try different iterations of that. Always encourage you to try different things and see what works best, but definitely adding a robust title is going to help that content surface on search, but also get clicked on by potential viewers. Next, you're going to want to build out really robust video descriptions. This again, I mentioned that YouTube is the second most popular search engine in the world, or in the US, definitely. So you're going to really want to build out like very detailed descriptions, because all of these terms that you're going to be using in this description are going to be used to connect you with potential queries for like keywords and stuff like that. So definitely want to include as much detail as possible. You're going to want to also obviously get into like what your channel is actually about, and other relevant information. You also want to add tags, right? Tags you can apply them to your video, and they'll basically surface that content for like relevant tags that may be a little bit broader than just like a specific video topic. So just making sure that you're capitalizing on that as well. And then you want to include just as much information as you want in order to drive folks to other channels that you may have. Just making sure that when folks go to your channel, they click on your description, they're going to have everything they're going to need to know about you, or as much as you can fit in there, and just including links to where they can find out more elsewhere. Yeah. Next, you're gonna want to add captions directly to your video. You can do this either by enabling, like users can enable automatic captioning on YouTube, where they can see real-time captioning appear across their screen. Or another thing that you can do, if you are not a fan of kind of the style or font of YouTube's automatic closed captioning, you can also add in captionings to your own video using things like Premiere Pro or Aftercut and all those types of video editing programs. This is really going to be critical, one, so that you can be inclusive of your audiences, for your deaf or hard of hearing viewers, but also because it'll make it really easy to follow along, and sometimes, particularly if there's a lot going on in your videos, this helps people keep track of everything that's going on, and this is going to be really important as well. Great. Next, you're gonna want to add tags to your videos. I mentioned that you can to add tags, you can just go to your to each specific video and go to the settings for those videos and click on the tags section, and then add those in there. As I mentioned, this is gonna be this is gonna be a way for you to kind of have your videos surface in and for queries that might be a little bit broader than the specific subject of your video. But again, this is just a basic best practices that you can adopt. That's very easy to set up. That's going to help your content surface for more viewers. Great. Next, one of the things that you can do on your channel is you can actually create channel sections to organize all your different videos. You can create playlists, and you can break that down into different types of content. So for instance, like you, I talked about episodic content earlier in this presentation. This is creating those playlists that are going to include all of the different episodes to that specific type of content is going to be a great way. Like let's say someone is a really big fan of a type of episodic content that you're pushing out, and they want to, view more of your videos and like learn more about kind of that particular project that you've put forward. Making sure that it's really easy to find is going to drive viewership across your channel, right? And it's going to also, help your performance across the platform. There's a bunch of different ways that you can do this. You can, break it down into like issue areas of the different videos that you've been posting. You can have like a highlight reel of some of the most important videos or like your best videos that you've been posting. Just stuff like that you can think through. Yeah, again, this is just kind of what it might look like. You can also set like a channel section of playlists, right? So in addition to having like a channel section that's going to feature those videos, you can actually create a channel section that's going to have all of your different playlists that you can create. So if you don't want folks to just scroll through one particular type of content that you've been creating, but you want to make it really easy to find all of the different, and this is probably more likely when you've established yourself more on YouTube. But this is going to be a really great way for you to make your content easy to find and accessible. Great. And then, yeah, exactly. And then that's how you'll get to those playlists. So with that, I'm going to just get into some Q&A. If you have any questions about anything that I just posted here, please make sure to drop in your questions here in the Q&A. So the first question I see here, what is the cost for a subscription? So to subscribe to a channel, there's no cost. There are other services through YouTube, like YouTube TV or like YouTube Red, or like give users access to like a program, like creator programming on YouTube. So that may be things that are more traditional, like on the entertainment side, right? Like, so these are going to be like your entertainment creators, people that are doing like more partnered programming with YouTube. But for the vast majority of YouTube channels, to subscribe, there's no cost involved. So about how many of those viewed vertically? So traditionally, and one of the things that you've seen recommended across other social media platforms is that there's like a kind of like a big push to do vertical video, right? Because that's the format of stories. That's the format of like just kind of how folks are scrolling through some of their other feeds on other platforms. Here on YouTube, we would encourage you to stick to horizontal content, right? Although folks are viewing them on mobile, we've seen that they're really like the best, most engaging type of content is something that you can kind of draw you in and get you close. And we've seen that users across YouTube are still very comfortable with horizontal video formats. So we still encourage you to do that. And also a lot of it is tied to like expectation, right? I think when people go to YouTube, they kind of expect to kind of have that user experience where they're going to turn their phone, it's going to zoom in, and they're going to view that content. So while, you know, horizontal, vertical content may be the best option if you're thinking about like, you know, Instagram stories or, you know, Facebook photos or something like that, I would still, you know, not dissuade you from sticking to a horizontal video here. So adding tags to videos, I talked a little bit about this. You can just do that by going to the like your specific video and like your video feed, and then just going to the settings for that specific video, and then you'll see a drop down that'll have the tag button that you can add. I also see we're getting some questions about custom watermarks. If you this information, we have help center articles that are going to explain like the process for all of these very like in detail. I'm going to drop an example here of one of those just so you can take a look. This is going to be the help center article that I just dropped in the chat for adding custom watermarks, and then you'll find similar instructions on how to add tags and all that other stuff. So we got a question about how long the videos should be. So typically for like the folks that I work with on like the politician vertical, right? So elected officials and candidates and stuff like that, we typically encourage folks to you know, stick to something between like 3 to 5 minutes, right? But as I mentioned before, there's no harm in posting long form conversations if that is you know, if it's like an intimate conversation where you're getting into like a bunch of different details and like you're having more of a close conversation. So we've seen that kind of content be really successful as well. One of the things that I would encourage you to do if you are hosting something that's really long, you know, like you're having like an hour-long conversation on like sit down with someone to discuss a particular issue, you can do that, and we certainly encourage that. But what you may also want to do is identify clips within that video, like really key highlight moments that you know are going to resonate well with your audiences, and then clip those and then add those to your channel as well. Just say, and then with the description, just highlighting specifically what you were talking about in that very moment, details about the guests and all that, just add in the descriptions as well. That's going to help you capture people that are searching for you know, conversations around that specific topic that you were addressing at that moment, as well as draw people in, and you can add the link card at the very end of the video to the full conversation. So those are just really like simple tricks or like techniques that you can use to continue to draw people in. Okay, yeah, this is a great question. So is there a place you can research the number of searches using specific phrases? So we actually have a site where you can find all the different trends across search. So this means that if you go to trends.google.com, you'll actually have access to like visualization of all of the different most popular searches happening across Google and YouTube. This means that if you want to get a sense of where you know, what people are searching for on any particular week or day, or the popularities of specific key terms across search, you're actually able to look at that information. You can narrow it down by, you know, like country, state. You can narrow it down by metropolitan area. So if you really want to see like what folks in your community are searching and talking about, you're able to do that. You can also compare specific terms like topics terms versus topics. So like a term would be like the whatever search keyword you're inputting, versus like a topic would be like the more broad kind of like grouping of topics that are relevant to that of terms that are relevant to that specific topic. And you can compare a lot of those. So like for instance, like let's say you're also thinking about what type of you're thinking about, you know, how you want to message or what keywords you want to use to talk about a particular topic. One of the things that you can do is you can actually compare different terms, like to see the popularity and the trends of like, you know, which is going up, which is going down and all that. But you can also compare them to a topic. So if you want to drop in keywords and there's a tab that you'll see in trends that says explore. Clicking there, you can actually like go in and like type in what terms you want information on and stuff like that. You can set the time frame that you want to look at. But you can compare terms and topics. So if you want to see how a particular term is how popular it is compared to like the overall popularity of the specific topic, that's going to also help you understand like how people are talking about these issues, so that you can include those in your descriptions, include those in your video titles, and also just talk about them in a way that's going to resonate with audiences. So there's some questions here about just like specifics of like what people are searching for. Trends is going to be your best bet there. So some of it is going to be like going to the actual, you know, trends page and seeing what's trending on that particular day. Like we have a page where we basically recap what the most popular search trends are, what like the fastest growing search trends are. There's going to be a lot of information across just like how people are interacting with search on both Google and YouTube. But you can also, again, like think creatively about like what your audience might be looking for. So like if you're looking for how-to videos, if you're looking for like instructions on a particular topic, think through how you might search for that particular type of video, and then just compare those different types of search terms that you would look up for to see like which are actually popular. So some folks ask here about like getting in contact with someone for questions. If you have questions, I'm going to drop in our team's email address here. Now, again, our team specifically covers, you know, elected officials and like local, state, and federal candidates. And as well as national advocacy organizations. So if you reach out, it doesn't guarantee that you'll necessarily be within our team's scope, but we'll do everything we can in order to provide you with as much support as we can. Additionally, there is our team has a site that you can visit that's going to have a lot of resources, including like these presentations, part of the presentations that you've seen here today. A lot of the information that I've covered, you're actually going to be able to find directly on this site. The site is civicsresources.withgoogle.com. And I'm going to answer that. I'm going to drop that here in the chat. And then I will, and then, yeah, you can use that, that link here. Great. Just go through some more of these questions. Yeah, so someone asked about discoverability outside of your channel subscribers. That's going to be like that's going to be like the bread and butter of like having like really robust video titles, having robust video descriptions. That's really how you're going to get discovered outside of your subscribers, and that's going to include like recommendations of videos, recommendations through other videos, right? So YouTube does a great job of connecting relevant video content to the things that people are already watching. So the more robust your video descriptions and title are, the more likely it is that you're going to your videos are going to be recommended to other folks who are watching that kind of content. So again, a question about like video length. I think for a policy issue conversation, if you're doing like a video face to camera video where it's just you talking about a particular issue, I use that example when I talked about that slide of Senator Jeff Merkley, and he was talking about one of the bills that he was championing in the Senate. That video I don't believe was longer than 10 minutes. So those type of videos you can kind of keep shorter form if you like, but if you want to have like an in-depth policy conversation with a policy expert on that topic, or you yourself are a policy expert and you want to bring in individuals who are affected by this issue, and you want to have like a more intimate long-form conversation, we also encourage you to do that. Again, if you are going to do that, one best practice is also to try to clip those so that you can then share that content and hopefully have it surface when people are searching on like those specific topic that you were discussing at that very moment. Questions here about, so I didn't talk a whole lot actually about comments. So I'll just get into that very briefly just for folks' awareness. So traditionally on a video, like video content that you may post on, like let's say Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, stuff like that. The metrics that are important on those platforms oftentimes are like focused on the likes, comments, right? Like those retweets. Those are typically going to be like the most important metrics that you're going to want to track on those platforms. On YouTube, it's a little bit different, right? The things that the algorithm is really going to take into account more than anything are going to be total views and watch time, right? So like the amount of people that are viewing your content, and like a view for your awareness is any time that anyone watches a video for 30 seconds or more. For Instagram, Facebook and YouTube, that metric is actually measured after 3 seconds of viewing. So when you get a view on YouTube, you know that person's been engaged for a more extended period of time. So you're going to really want to like keep folks as engaged as possible and drive up that metric. Shares are also going to be really important, but in terms of like how like videos are like surfaced through search and all that, comments and likes in those videos are not going to be as important. Where that becomes important is really in building that community of people who are going to want to come back and engage with their videos. So if you're encouraging people to drop comments in the videos and you're answering those comments, if you're doing live streams or you're doing live Q&A with commenters, those are things that are going to build that relationship with your audience, but are not and encourage them to continue to come back to your content. But the main metric that you really want to optimize for is going to be total views and average watch time. Let's see, we got a couple minutes here. Great. So on so I see these are the questions that I have answers for right now. If there's any other questions that you may have, just make sure to send them over to that email that I included. You can also reach us through that site that civicsresources.withgoogle.com, or again, that email is civics-outreach@google.com. And again, thank you all so much for joining today. Hope this was helpful, and hope to see some of your content on YouTube very, very soon. So thank you all so much, and have a great rest of your conference.